Hey everybody, MJ here. Welcome to the pre-game show. Yeah, we're live. And I guess you probably didn't think I was going to go live tonight, but I am. And for those of you who don't know, I got my new cinema rig out with me. Not going to use it tonight. Actually, I was using it earlier, but I'm not going to use it for the live stream. Now we're waiting for the notifications to go out. Yes. Yes. So we are live, guys. All right, now I can pause this. All right, we're good. Nice to see you. Hi, everybody. MJ Klein here, and yeah, I've been pretty sporadic with live streaming. You know, it doesn't quite have the appeal that it used to have. And this rig that's beside me, it's all folded up, you know, but I've got two versions of this rig. I got a rig that's static that sits on a tripod, and then this rig that sits on the Ronin. And you know, there's a monitor on it, powered by this orange battery. And it's a Fuji film, the XS20, which is kind of like a less expensive, rather, one of their models. But it's one of the latest ones, or it is the latest one, and it's got some stuff on it that the other ones don't have. And I've been shooting in 6.2 open gate, and I just ordered an anamorphic lens. I'm really getting excited about this because I've been wanting to do some real cinematic filming for quite some time, and my Nikon cameras that I've had for all these years just aren't cutting it. Boy, listen to this. This is terrible. Which button is it? Is it this one? I think that turns on the noise reduction. Let me see if I can see that from the menu here on the side. Can I do this? Yeah, can I do this? Noise reduction is on. There you go. Yeah, I want noise reduction on. It's just so, it's terrible here. I guess it was on. Anyway, yeah, I ordered the Sure, and that's how you pronounce it correctly, Saturn, and it's a 35 millimeter. I ordered the 35 millimeter. I'm going to get the other two based on how well this one works, but it's a 1.66, which is quite a bit of cinematic squeeze. And the reason I got that is because this shoots in 6.2 open gate 4.3, which is almost perfect for squeezing into like the DCI CinemaScope. What is it, 2.39? Yeah, so anyway, it's really cool. Now, the monitor, the rig's kind of heavy. The monitor that I got is the Aussie, I should do a review on this, but I'm not a review channel, Aussie G7 Pro, which in of itself is a camera control monitor. And what I like about it is, I like to shoot in F-Log2, which is a raw format, and so it's not color graded. It requires color grading, and it looks kind of flat and uninspiring when you're shooting it. And so this particular monitor allows me to load a lookup table, an LUT, so I can at least look at it. And so Fuji has released some of their LUTs that are good for their film sims. So I basically have the Eterna LUT from F-Log2. So I'm looking at my monitor and it looks like it's already color graded. It's amazing. And there is anamorphic adjustments in there, so I can get the same aspect ratio as the final output, you know, when I'm done editing. So I'm really excited about getting this rig going. And the new lens will be here probably Wednesday. It's actually in Taiwan at Customs. I imported it. It's obviously all these are made in China. But yeah, I got this Fuji camera when I was in Japan, and it has really exceeded my expectations. Although it takes fantastic, 26 megapixel photographs, and Fuji's known for their film simulations. It's the video out of this thing that's astonishing. I shoot video, it's so darn cinematic looking. But the thing that's astonishing Dave, good evening. Fist bump. Good to see you. The thing that's so astonishing is that it's APS-C. It's not even full frame. I was determined to not get an APS-C. I was determined to get a full frame camera, but then I didn't realize this until I really started investigating. Fuji doesn't make a full frame. They only make APS-C, and then they make an incredible medium format camera, but I'm not going to drop that kind of money on it yet. But who knows, maybe in the future. So I have this rig I can disconnect from the Ronin and put it on my tripod, and I can still use the monitor and put the handle on it and everything. It works great, and I've used it, and I've got a fluid head, so I can get some nice moves, but this is for the field, and it's got what we call the suitcase handle on it, so you know, you're holding it from this handle and down here. And what I managed to do, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a focus motor on it, and what I'm using now, actually the Fuji camera control. Why are you people so loud? These scooters are just, they're unbelievably loud. This is the 21st century. These things should be silent. Fuji camera control allows, with their standard type autofocus lens, you can focus by wire. So the front, there's a thumb wheel, like a finger wheel on the front, and I'm using that for focus. And a joystick, I actually have this motor set to run the zoom in and out. So I've got full zoom control and manual focus, and also manual override for autofocus, which is pretty cool. So I want to talk about this completely, but this is pretty interesting. As you can tell, I'm pretty psyched on it. And I've got a considerable investment in it, but I also have my first real feature film project lined up, and I'm going to do a feature film. And I've been talking about this for a while, but I already have 4 acts for the feature film already roughed out, so it's going to happen. I'm going to meet with the principal actor next week, and I'm going to do a feature film about Taiwan identity. I've been here 21 years myself. A friend of mine was born here, but he's not of Asian ethnicity. Of course, there's my daughter who's a dual citizen, and I know another guy who's not of Asian ethnicity who actually has a Taiwan ID, and it's difficult because a lot of people don't even consider him Taiwanese. It's weird, but he actually is. So I'm going to talk about all these issues in my film. So, what's on your mind? What's the agenda? I haven't actually been doing much live streaming, you know. I don't know what it is. It kind of lost the appeal, and I don't know why. I guess it's the world has changed so much. And it wouldn't surprise me if someday something I said on a live stream gets me canceled because I was frank and honest about it. Because I already got several videos removed about COVID-19. Remember that? I said it was years ago. So they're going back and they're looking. So what are they doing? YouTube is not supposed to be a publisher. It's supposed to be a platform, but they act like a publisher and they police the platform, and what they're doing is illegal, and it's my opinion that they should not have the status that they should have. They should be held responsible for everything that's on their platform because they do censor. So if you don't censor, then if you don't censor anything, then you can say, okay, I'm a platform, I'm not responsible for it. And the government of the United States, where they're located, Google's located, allows that. And the reason I know this is because in 1994, I had a national talk show. And one of the things we're talking about was privacy. And I had Shelley Steele, who was then head of legal counsel for the Electronic Freedom Foundation, or Frontier EFF. Anyway, gosh, you know, it's been so long, I forgot what they're called. But yeah, anyway, don't get me started on that. So many people, like My Shaulai Part 2 Waterfall, I found it's got a copyright strike. And it's with some guy in India used the same samples that I used to create the song. So the beginning where it goes dum da 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 with the percussion, he used exactly, so it sounds exactly the same. So I said no. And you know what? The same thing happened on, I used the same music on the first version, and it got a copyright strike too. So I said, no, it's not your song, and he released it. But here's the thing. If he doesn't release the second one, then I'm going to claim it on my first one. Because, hey, that's how you want to be. This thing is out of control. I'm convinced that, gosh, all these greedy recording artists that are going back and popping people for nothing. I'm convinced that we need a new platform that's outside of the jurisdiction of the copyright system. Seriously. Here's the thing, too, and I know a lot about this. I'm not just talking out of my hat. You guys got to remember, I had my first record company contract offer from CBS Records when I was 23 years old. I've been around music publishing, production, lawyers. Oh, gosh, I had so many lawyers it wasn't funny. But what I'm saying is, you can license music, and it's called a mechanical license for a movie or video. And you can use it all you want. But here's what happens. People go ahead and they use like a song anyway. But let's just say you got a 4-minute song in an hour-long video. How in the world does the owner of the 4-minute song justify getting the rest of the money from the video, the other leftover? So if you've got a 60-minute video and a 4-minute song, if I'm not mistaken, that's 56 minutes that have nothing to do with your song. What are you taking the money from that for? And the other thing that irks me is, back in 2008, we went over here to Win-Win's, Casper, John Ho. Was John Ho with us? Yeah, I think so. Yuka, JL, and John from LA. Anyway, we went to a karaoke place and we live streamed it. And I got a copyright hit, not a claim, not a strike, a claim on YouTube. So I wrote to these companies. I said, look, number one, we paid for the karaoke room. Number two, the karaoke room has a license and they pay for licensing the music. Number three, it's a karaoke. It's not the exact, it's not the song. It's not the exact version. And I am owed my artist fee. And they didn't like it. Here's a weird thing. How in the world and why did they put so much power in the claimant's hands? Because, like with this copyright claim, and I disputed it, guy walking by here like he's never seen me before. You know, it's some guy in India, I don't know, speaks English. I said, no, it's my tune. I made it in my studio. If he rejects my claim, that's it. I can't do anything. I have to go to India. How does that work? How does that system work? See, this is what discourages people from doing things. This is one thing that discourages me from doing more. But at least the good news is, on all the other videos that I have done, where I've done my own music, all my own composing, engineering, performance, everything, including like the opener for Phoenix Media Forge Studio, all that stuff, none of that's been claimed. So, yeah. But man, Venus Theory wrote, he produced a 30-minute video about it, how we're all effed is the name of the title. And it's amazing what happened to him. AI bots scraped his music, made some ear candy junk, AI, and then went back and claimed a copyright claim against him and there wasn't anything he could do about it. You know, it's interesting. Even the Bible says that the first one to make the claim will be the one that's heard. It's pretty prophetic, isn't it? It's pretty stupid when you think about it. You gotta be first or nobody will listen to you. It's not about being right, it's about being first. That's why news organizations just will release a story that they're not even sure, because it's not about being right, it's about being first. They want to be first. Being first in this world doesn't actually make you a better person. It doesn't improve your standing in life. Kenrod, fist bump, good to see you, bro. Good evening. How's things? How's your lovely wife? How's your family? I've been enjoying your posts on Facebook, even though I'm way busier. I've been kind of really laying off getting involved in Facebook. It's one of those things that I realize, holy cow, what a rabbit hole. You can sit there and scrolling stuff all afternoon. It's like, whoa, what's going on? It's 5 o'clock in the evening. So yeah, but anyway, I released 2 videos recently about riding my recumbent trike. And one was where I said big trouble, and I just released it. I expected it to do like, you know, most of my videos, 40 views, 50 if I'm lucky. That's what I was figuring. Yeah, it's got almost 500. That went pretty well. And I got a number of new subscribers, and I want to thank you. For those of you who recently subscribed, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Since it was released and the subsequent more trouble, which has, last time I looked, about 150 views, I've gotten 5 new subscribers. It's great. Ken says he got bronchitis recently. I'm sorry to hear that. That stinks. Yeah, that can be bad. So take care of yourself, bro. Got my cinema rig in the back. No, it looks like a transformer, and it acts like a transformer when you turn it on. It's pretty funny. But it's my cinema rig, and I brought it down because I was filming some stuff here. It can do program shots where you can set, you know, waypoints and wherever you want them, and dwell time, and then travel time between. So I just was kind of getting some B-roll down here at night just to see what it looked like, and so working up to doing some cinematic stuff. And so what I realized with these videos, which makes sense because live streaming for me has always been pretty popular because of the storytelling, right? You know, I get on and I tell stories about things that have happened in my life, you know, like my Bigfoot experience and whatever. I tell stories about being in the studio and all this. Or just things that happen every day, but there's a story. And the thing is, that's kind of sort of been missing in some respects. I mean, I did like a video on the paradise fish, but I didn't explain too much about it. And I realized that by nature, when it comes to my use of media, like when I get a camera and a recorder and things, I'm a documentarian. That's what I do. But outside of that, as just a person, I'm a storyteller. And so I recently realized, it's because of my background as a manufacturing engineer. I'd go into a factory and I would photograph, document procedures. You know, people were manufacturing products, and we would make formal documentation, you know, for these procedures, and I would have to photograph those and document them and write very descriptive language that's not easy to understand but impossible to misunderstand, and that's a lot different than sitting down and telling a story. So with the Big Trouble video, you know, riding the trails, that was a story. And it's funny because when I set out to do it, I had no idea. I mean, I was just going to ride the trails, and you know, here's what would have happened. if the hinge hadn't come undone, I would have rode that trail for like about an hour, and I probably would have just talked the whole time. Talk. It would have been an hour of me talking, and you guys would have done what everybody does: put it on 2x, and go to the end and go, yeah, okay, and maybe give a like or maybe not, and you'd get 50 views. But I was out on the trail, and see the thing about the trike is, I didn't really go into it, but the reason it has a hinge is because it's designed to unlock the hinge, and then you can fold the back wheel up, and you can put the seat down, and you can compact this thing and put it into a much smaller car. When I bought it, I took it all apart like that, and I put it in a really, really small car and brought it home. And once I got home, I got the van and decided I didn't need to do it anymore. Actually, I had the small car for a couple of years, and I put a bike holder on it. And I even remember getting bungee cords and just mounting the back wheel on the trunk and putting the front wheels on the roof, and just, wanging it down, as they say. And I gotta tell you, I never unlocked it again. And it was a problem because I would be out in the field somewhere, and all of a sudden it's getting really spongy. And then what happens is, you can't stand up on it. Okay, so you don't get any gravity assist. Like these guys riding diamond frames, on the Hill Destroyer. No, you're not. You're a Stairmaster. When you're sitting like this, and essentially you're pushing what, if you want to say 90 degrees to the vector of gravity, roughly, it's all on you. You're like doing leg presses. And if it's spongy, then you're wasting energy, and you're not being efficient. It's hard to climb hills. It's all spongy, So I was like, oh no, man. And I didn't want to ride it all spongy out, and it takes a socket wrench, and I didn't have it with me. And I said, I've been wanting to get this thing welded. I mean, as I thought about getting it welded 15 years ago when I first got it, I said, nah. And so I knew Mr. Lin is the main factory that we use in our business. He's the main factory in the Asian Castings Consortium. So I didn't even call him, man. I drove there, and he showed up. He said, hey, what's going on? And I said, I got this problem with this thing. And this is how Mr. Lin is. I said, can you help me? And before I even finish it, he's going, "Kei," which means, yes, we can. So I just said, I just need, and the word for that in Chinese is Dianhan, electrical welding, arc welding. I need this electrically welded. He immediately talked to somebody in Taiwanese. Guys come over, they picked it up, took it over there. And you saw the video. Now, the thing is, I've only used about 20% of the footage, but the thing is, I've had my stuff with me. I had my Action 5, which I had on my helmet, and I had the 360, but I keep this, the Pocket 3, in my bag at all times. And this is why. So as soon as I got to the factory, I said, man, I gotta video all of this. So I videoed the whole thing, and the guys were really cool. They don't mind, they're cool, and they're really good. So I saw the guy who was doing the welding, and man, it was beautiful. So I photographed the whole thing, and I realized, hey, this is gonna be a cool story. 2 hours later, and then we're in the factory, and that was it. And then I wanted to make the video longer, but I decided I would just do it in 2 parts. And the fun part of the second video is going back and going downhill. So I went eventually to 48 kilometers an hour was the speed. I forgot to read that out at the end. But I think it's good. Since then I've made a battery box. I put a huge battery in it with connectors on it. I actually put a small fan in the box to ventilate it, to keep the battery from overheating, to power the horn and to power the lights. So I think I'm all ready. Weather's starting to get cool. I'm gonna start riding that thing, man. I gotta drop some weight fast. I got on the scale today. I'm heavier than I've been in the last 10 years. It's weird. I don't know why. So look for more of that, some storytelling stuff. But at the same time, I'm gonna be using my cinematic rig and my anamorphic lens, and presumably the other ones in the kit. But I'm about to drop, oh, this is crazy, even more money, because I don't know if you guys know this, but cinematic filters are just crazy expensive. If you got a matte box and a 4x4 or a 4.65, like black mist filter made out of 4mm thin cinematic glass, it's like $600 for one of those things, you know. And don't drop it, but it fits in a tray and goes in the matte box in the front. So you gotta have it. So I'm gonna put ND filters on the lenses and then have some airspace and then put a black mist filter on the outside, because I like to shoot everything with it like this. This has a black mist filter on it now. And you can see, like, if I turn it around, it makes the highlights look fantastic. But it doesn't ruin the detail. It does nothing bad for the detail at all. It's all good. And so even if we zoom in on stuff, right, we can see that yeah, I know the endpoints are reached. So go over here then. So this is digital zoom, but you see how the highlights look really nice, but it doesn't hurt the detail at all. Like you can still read, you know, you can still read the signs. So yeah, that's what I'm looking at doing with a matte box and my cinematic lenses, is shooting, especially at night, shooting the black mist filter. Yeah. So, give me a couple of weeks. I'm going to start on this feature film about Taiwan identity. In Chinese, it's called 我不能是台湾人吗? 不能 means like can't possibly or impossible. 我不能是 means it's impossible to be. And then you say Taiwan人 means Taiwan people or Taiwanese. So I can't be Taiwanese, question mark. That's the working title of this production. Going to contrast a couple of interesting things, and I think it's going to be good. It's going to be bilingual. You're going to get to hear me talking in Chinese quite a bit on this movie, and my friend who's the principal actor will be talking probably entirely in Chinese since he was born here. It'll be subtitled in at least 2 languages. But yeah, it's interesting. And a lot of people have this identity crisis in countries like Taiwan, where they're heavily mindseted towards, you know, us and you, foreigners. Because people here ask me, say, what about foreigners? Do they like this? And I try to get them to understand. I said, when you say foreigner, you mean every person in the world that's not from Taiwan. They go, yes. I said, that's not one kind of person. And they look at me puzzled. I said, are you talking about someone from Saudi Arabia, Iceland, New Zealand? What are you talking about? Greece? And then they start to realize that, oh yeah, and I haven't even got, you know, to the 50 some countries on the continent of Africa. I mean, come on, man. There's like 230 countries, something like that. I mean, I'm speaking in terms of ham radio. It's like, you just can't say it. And even like with the USA, people, you know, this is one reason I don't like to say where I'm from. Not because I'm ashamed of the USA, but if I say USA, then I get like the little green box around my face now. I get boxed in, and they start thinking, oh, well, you must be like this. Oh, you like basketball, right? Oh, you like baseball, right? It's like no and no, and then they look at my age. Oh, you must have voted for so and so. No, I don't vote. You know, so it's the pigeonholing that's the issue, right? But like my next door neighbors in the States, on the left were from Cambodia, and from the right they were from the Caribbean. They spoke Spanish. It's like, you can't say like a stereotype or a type for American people, because literally anybody can get a visa, go to America, put on a ball cap and a t-shirt, boom. They're American, you know? And that's really true, because you'll see Taiwanese, they'll get a green card and instantly they walk around, yeah, I'm American, I'm American. They might not even have been there yet, but they qualify for the visa. I don't get this, but anyway. yeah, so we have some interesting things going on. And I think we only have one person watching us right now. But I want to thank everybody for the recent follows. And I'll try to be more engaged in the community. It's just, what I'm seeing going on with YouTube and all this control and all these underhanded things that Google and other companies are doing, like we talked about this with AI summaries. So they scrape Behringer World. They cost me a lot of money to up my bandwidth. I 1 month, 25 gigabytes of bandwidth of AI traffic scraping my site, just so they could take the information from my site, serve it to somebody searching for the answer to an issue, serve it up in an AI summary so that person doesn't have to go to my site, and then Google doesn't have to pay the ads that were served up. This kind of conflict of interest, this kind of crap, is what discourages me from doing anything. So, and I spend money on this rig and all this stuff. It's like, there's a limit to how much I can do. And I have investigated setting up a live streaming platform on TaiwanLive.tv. That site is offline right now because I don't have any use for it, but I could very easily put it on because I have my own hosting service. But here's the thing, it would take a lot. It would take quite a bit to do because I would have to host with another company, and it would be an isolated server because they have to sandbox it. There would be a chat system or something. So like, for example, if I was on, like I am now, instead of being live on YouTube, I would be live on Taiwan Live TV. People would have to sign up, and they would get an email, or I don't know what other kind. Maybe they could get a text message to their phone. There could be an app designed that would be in conjunction with that, and it'd be a standalone thing. And then, of course, I'd have to deal with any DCMA takedowns and stuff. But where I'm in Taiwan, it might be harder to enforce. Who knows? I could make my own advertising deals. The monetization will be completely up to me. If somebody wanted to pay me to do an ad, especially if I did it, not an ad on the site, but if I did like a live voiceover or a demonstration or a video, it can end up being pretty good. But it's like, man, it's not what I want to do, man. I want to make records. I want to make some films. So I'll put my film on YouTube and see what happens. But anyway, so how you guys doing? We don't have much interaction tonight. It's my own fault because I don't come on anymore. So the Simple Mart just closed up over there. I know I shouldn't do it. I'll probably go to 7-Eleven in a little while and get some snack food. And I'll be lugging my rig around with me. One thing that I didn't show you, let me do this real quick. One thing I didn't show you on this is, yeah. Okay, that's the monitor, and the monitor arm has a cold shoe that fits the Mic 2 receiver. So I have the Mic 2 receiver down here, and I have this plugged in, and this goes directly into the mic jack. This cable here. This camera has, let me unlock it. This camera has an actual mic input jack on it, which is really cool. I'm gonna put the motor to sleep and unlock this axis so I can move this around. Okay. But on the top of my cage, I've got a little pole shoe here and one over here, and they fit the Mic 2, so I can put two Mic 2s right here facing forward, and I've got a stereo system. And this thing up here is kind of funny. This is just the tail of a belt. See, it's a toothed belt, and it goes around here because the focus motor has a large tooth cog on it that engages it, okay, like that. And so if some of these cinematic lenses have huge diameter barrels, but this one is a smaller lens, so this is hanging. I don't want to cut it because I could use it on another lens, but it looks kind of funny just sitting there. And as you're focusing or zooming or whatever you're doing, it can be a problem. You know, this is the focus motor that's on. It's waiting for a signal. Actually, the signal comes from the joystick down here. So with the motors engaged, it will. Oh, that's up and down. Okay, there you go. See the little tail moving now? Yeah, that's the motor moving right there. So you can power zoom while you're filming, and then I also have focus by wire through the Fuji. What I did with the Fuji was I put a cage on it because you gotta mount all this stuff to it. And one of the things I did was, because I didn't want to run the risk of having cable sticking out. It's hard to see because it's a little bit dark, but these are connectors here that go into the Fuji, but they go to sockets, like underneath. It's hard to see. I installed this silver thing is an HDMI cable, and so there's an HDMI socket, and up here, up here, hang on, wrong way. Where my finger is the USB-C socket, and that cable just goes around into here. So I have remoted these two connectors out to smaller sockets that stick onto the cage so they don't get moved. And all the stress is out here and these other things. So, and this is just a standard 15 millimeter rod that goes into a clamp here on the side of the cage. Yeah, wow. You know, I can't even see this with my eyes. I can see it with the Pocket 3. The low light performance is amazing. Of course, this is a flippy screen. I'm not using the flippy screen because I have the HDMI cable going down to the Aussie G7 Pro HDMI monitor. And the Fuji, I have the cooling fan on the back. I leave it on all the time. So this is all balanced for this. And this is the RS4. It's not the RS4 Pro because I determined that I don't need the Pro. The Pro can hold 4 kilograms and provides 2 focus motors and 1 or 2 other features that I don't need. My whole camera, the whole rig, everything I got isn't even 2 kilograms, and this holds 3. So we're, you know, a good kilogram worth of spare, you know. And so if I go back to being live here, if I press this button, and I turn it back on. Okay. You see this actually is like a mobile phone gimbal, okay? It's heavy though, that's why I got 2 hands on it. So I usually hold up my right hand on this thing, the grip, but I really need 2 hands. It's just too heavy. But anyway, that's what it is. And when it folds up at a 45-degree angle. So let me show you this. This is kind of wild. If I press and hold this, it'll flip like that. So, and the lens is facing this way. Just got to make sure you got all your wires minded, and which I do. I've been pretty good with my cable management, but that's that thing. So let me go back to my comments and make sure we don't have anything that I missed here. See, Ken asked me, am I still using Prism to go live on YouTube? Not really. I mean, I have sometimes. What I use Prism for is if I want to show videos, you know, or I want to show photos, you know, media like that. That's really what it was for. I'm getting away from using my phone more and more for these things. The phone, okay, here's the thing. These companies put these amazing cameras in phones, right? Amazing cameras. And what do? We throw them in our bag. Throw them in our pocket. See all these micro scratches all over them. Look at that right now. I could probably use a fingerprint reader on the lens of my phone and open a door. It's like, so over time, you know, the quality degrades, but it's okay. And the phone overheats. Yeah, I've been using the Pocket 3. It lasts longer, set and forget, but Ken is saying on mobile it's hard to find the live button on YouTube. You mean on Prism, or do you mean on the YouTube app? I mean, you could go live on the YouTube app. It's pretty cool, but and I'm not. I mean, I understand they got to make money, but here's the thing. Prism Live Studio and Jake, you know, he's in our line group. And he's a fantastic guy, developer. You know, he's a super nice guy. Nothing against him, the team, anybody, Naver. They've all been really, really good to us in our small community of live streamers, as you know. But it's not a tool that I use enough to pay for. And that's just how it is. Like, all the tools in my studio, Reaper, you know, all the plugins, like my studio has I use iDrive for backing up my files, which came in handy one time because I lost the entire library of all the work I'd done in my studio for 8 years or something. And I downloaded it, I restored it from the online backup, and within one day I had it all back. You know, that's the kind of stuff I pay for, right? And I pay for software like Affinity Designer, you know, that I use. Once in a while, I might pay a subscription, but I am very, very much against subscription models. And I don't use Prism Live Studio enough for a subscription. And some of the things like Bike Map, okay? Bike Map is an app that I've been using since like 2010 on Android when I ride my trike, and I record and save rides, and you can share them and stuff. Is really cool. But then they went subscription, and I was using the free version for a long time, and they finally sent me this email, and so I wrote them back. I said, okay, listen, the app's been around for a long time, so you're not developing it anymore. You're just maintaining it. Why do I need to pay you a subscription? What is the data that you're getting all the time? Like, for example, I do pay the subscription for Flighty, Flighty. That is probably the best app I have on my phone for when you take trips. I can't tell you how many times I've been in an airport and my watch will tickle me and I'll go, oh, it says baggage claim number has changed. Oh, great, we were going to go to belt number 12. It's actually number 1. And the live, when the iPhone came out with the dynamic island and the live events and stuff, Flighty is fantastic. I pay a subscription because they buy data. They have to buy the data of all the flights around the world from everybody. It's very expensive. Flight Radar is another one. But Flight Radar has their own network, but still they have to maintain it, have to pay it. Like, for example, if you live in an area that doesn't have a transponder, or doesn't have a receiver for transponders, they'll send you one for free. All you have to do is agree to keep it on 24/7. So if you're in some area that doesn't have somebody monitoring flights, you can get Flight Radar for free just by offering to host one of their receivers. That's another service that I would pay for. But what I can't stand is these services that don't have day-to-day expenses, like for paying for data, like Adobe. They just want a big cash flow every month as they tickle 20 million credit cards, on the first of the month, because they're greedy. Let's call them what they are. So I asked Bike Map, why should I pay you? Because I said, you're not like Flighty or Flight Radar where you're paying for, or weather data or flight data. And the guy came back and he very politely answered me, and he said, we have to pay for, I forget which he named several mapping companies that they have APIs for, and they have to pay data to update these maps. And I said, okay, that's reasonable. So I subbed. But thing is, I paid the lifetime. So if I used Prism Live Studio enough as a tool, as like a daily part or a weekly part of my workflow, like DaVinci Resolve, you know, amazing editor. I used it alongside some other cheaper, easier to use editors for a long time. I kind of put off diving all the way into it. When I realized I was starting to get serious about making videos, I bought the editor keyboard. It's $500. It came with a license for the studio version. So now I've got DaVinci Studio. I will invest in the things that I think I need and the things that I use, you know. And you guys see how much I've invested in equipment and hardware. But I don't like to invest in bleedware where I have to buy the same thing over and over, you know. And I got completely out of Lightroom and Adobe. And you know, one thing that bugs me as a side note, I still have a folder that shows up in my file explorer that says Adobe Creative Cloud Files. I go to delete it, it says it doesn't exist. I go to access it, it says it doesn't exist, but it's I can't get it on my file. I gotta edit the registry to get rid of that thing. I hate that so much. So the thing about Prism Live Studio is, I mean, most of these apps, like on the iPhone, I'm in Taiwan, so we use not new Taiwan dollars. Most of the apps are 1,000 NT or less. It's like $30 or less for a lifetime. It might be 1,500, it might be a little bit more, it might be $45, you know? And so if it's something you use a lot, you know, I would do it. But like Flight Radar and Flighty, they can't do that because it's an ongoing thing. But these other companies that don't have the data and they do a straightforward perpetual license, that's what I usually go for. Now, speaking of that, it's interesting how we morphed into this. Affinity, the people who do, you know, Affinity Photo and Affinity Designer and Affinity Publisher, were acquired by Canva, like last year. One day I got this email, and, you know, it's we're acquired by Canva, and I panicked. I was like, oh God, no, because Canva is subscription, and my daughter uses Canva, you know, with school, right? So I immediately, the email was not a no reply. They sent it from a live email, so I replied to them, and I said, please tell me that you're not going to go to a subscription model because that's why we like you. I, for example, have been using Affinity Photo since 2006. 2016. When I got rid of Lightroom permanently after that. I bought Lightroom in 2012, kind of late to the party. Got rid of it in 2016. 4 years, I had enough. After that crap they did about touch screens and all that, they don't know what they're doing, man. And you think they care about you? They don't care about anything except money. So here's the thing. Immediately they wrote back to me. They said, oh no, we had no plans to go subscription. And about 4 hours later, I got a mass mailing. So I find it hard to believe that I asked them that question and they, on the basis of that one email that I sent them, sent out this mass emailing to everybody explaining that they're not going to go subscription. I think probably, you know, thousands of people must have mailed them the same time. I think I was just one of a horde of people panicking. So they came out on October 1st. They said that Affinity, you know, and Canva are going to do something big with Affinity. Man, you should see, like, I'm not on Twitter, I'm not on Reddit and these other places, but the small amount of social media that I'm exposed to, people are going, what's going on, especially on YouTube. And they said, be the first to find out, sign up. So I gave my email. I'm supposed to find out on October 30 what their new thing is. And everybody's saying it's going to be a subscription. And there's going to be some kind of bull crap about how it's better to serve the people because I heard this thing, right, about how somebody told me that according to United States law, that Adobe had to do the subscription thing because it was illegal not to, which is a bunch of crap. And I've heard this from more than one person. It's like, you, as a software designer, you can release updates whenever the heck you want to. I'm talking about, that's what lawyers are for. Lawyers are supposed to configure this stuff. They just configured it that way and got locked into a certain legal framework so they could say, oh, well, our hands are tied. Nice. That's not how life works. And there's more than one country in the world, so you can't tell me that everything's going to be uniform across the entire world. It's not. Look at the fact that Microsoft is giving free security updates for Windows 10 to Europe, and they make people in the United States pay for them. It's because the European laws demanded that they do it. So we're going to see what Affinity does, Canva. And so many people, because I have, I upgraded, I bought the upgrade. It's been much money, like $69, I think, per app. Got 3 apps, right? Photo Designer and Publisher. I don't use Publisher that often, but it's like, I plan on doing like a CD release, you know, the cover and stuff, right? And those kinds of, maybe even a newsletter, who knows? Point is that I got all 3 of them. I upgraded them to version 2, and so many people on YouTube, they're talking about this, because Affinity did release, you know, a video coming soon, you know, on big announcement. You just scroll through, it's like, I'm staying on version 2, staying on version 2, staying on version 2, never gonna upgrade, never gonna upgrade. No, listen, man, if they do this, it will be the end of them. And the worst part of it all is they're gonna have to listen to Louis Rossmann. I gotta tell you something. More than any other consequence I can think of, getting chastised on YouTube by Louis Rossmann and then having everybody in the comments literally shred you to pieces is probably one of the worst consequences I can think of for a company or an individual who operates unscrupulously, and I think it's fantastic. I would not want to be Canva if they make this announcement and it turns out to be a subscription. Now, that being said, Capture One is a great, I think it's from the UK, it's a great software app, and it's kind of like Lightroom. I used to, a long time ago, I used an evaluation version for like a month. I didn't like it. I deleted it. It was too complicated. It was too difficult. The batch processing was weird. Because one thing I like about Lightroom is it looks like a Lightroom. I mean, it looks like your light box with film strip on it, and you can select all these things, and you can make presets for batch processing. Maybe you can do that in Capture One. I can't imagine you can't. But at the time when I was using it, either I'm too stupid to figure out how to do it, or the capability that I wanted wasn't there, okay? But I understand Capture One is fantastic. I did some fantastic work with it. It just took a really long time, and I didn't like it. And Affinity Photo is kind of like that too. It's not like Lightroom where you import a bunch of pictures and you add like exposure compensation, or you add like lens correction or something to like 500 photos off your card. It just doesn't work that way, right? But that being said, Capture One has a subscription option, but they also have a perpetual license. They have several tiers. So every subscription option that you have, they have a perpetual license. So I don't know why anybody would go the subscription. There must be a reason. Maybe they want it short term or something. But this whole thing reminded me, talking about Capture One and Adobe, this whole thing reminded me of something that, I don't know if I've ever said this before. I think I have, but it's probably like 5 or 6 years ago. Terry White, okay, from Adobe. I love the guy. He's great. He's an amazing teacher. He's really funny. But he's one of the evangelists that I used to listen to for Adobe, and they talk about Lightroom and Photoshop, and they talk about future-proofing, your photo archive. And like in my case, I have a photo archive. My photos of Taiwan go back to the year 2000. I bet I got 70,000 photos of Taiwan. That doesn't include all the other countries I've been to, places like remote villages in Laos, things like that. When I went to Paris, went to France, so I got 100,000 photos. And I shoot RAW. Now, I used to shoot JPEG because my philosophy was if I don't get it in the camera, I'm not a good photographer. Then I decided to try shooting RAW, and I liked it. So I started shooting RAW, and I was shooting Nikon for years, which is a .nef file. So I was listening to Terry White and says, look, these, having all these different kinds of camera RAW files is not a good idea. And software changes, firmware changes, and someday you might find that all of a sudden your files don't import anymore. And I'm going, okay. So you should convert them all to DNG files. That's the Adobe, digital format. DNG is digital RAW, and that way you can be future-proof because Adobe's going to be here forever, and it's one standard. So I go, okay, that's a good idea. So I converted like about 50,000 NEF files to DNG. And I didn't notice any difference in Lightroom. It was great. I said, wow. And file size is the same. And then the option is you want to delete the files that you converted. It's like, because I don't need copies of NEFs and DNGs of the same files. I'm like, yeah, sure. Okay, so I deleted all of them. No problem. Except I found out something. I found out that Adobe cheats. No company can have the deep access to the DNG file the way that Adobe can. They purposely hamstring other people from using it, the DNG file, to the same degree. It can't be as deeply optimized. Capture One is able to draw things, for example, out of DNG files that Infinity Photo can't. There's something going on there. People talk about this all the time. I was so pissed. I stopped that. So the rest of the NEF files I have, and all my RAF files from my Fuji, I'm not converting them. But guess what? This camera and all the other DJI cameras and most of the other action cameras now that shoot RAW are shooting DNG. And it's a spec that only Adobe can actually harness. Like, you want to get all the detail out of it. You want to get all the shadow information, all the highlight information, all the color information out. Adobe's the only one. You think that's an accident? I don't know. I just know it's true. Very strange. That made me mad. That was another reason that I got rid of Adobe, is because I felt like they cheated me. They're the only ones that can leverage the DNG file to the fullest extent possible. So, yeah, there you go. If that's changed, nobody's talking about it. Hey, there's a couple of cops on scooters over there. Now, I'm behind this thing, so you see the lights there? They're taking off, they're going the other way. They're behind the partition, so I don't know. They went to 7-Eleven. Maybe they wanted a coffee. I don't know. Hello, there we go. Maybe they wanted a coffee. I don't know. All right, stuff's going on over at Win-Win's, not sure. Here's some people talking, but I'm going to pack up. I'm going to put all this back, and I'm going to go over to 7-Eleven and get some snack food. Holding a cinema rig. That's going to be a nice little feat. You guys take care. Thanks so much for joining. And thanks for putting up with my mindless rambling on about things. So let me do this. I'm going to go back to the DJI app where I can reconnect and end the live stream, and then I'll have to go to YouTube and make sure that it actually is ended. So have a good evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the world. And remember, MJ loves you. Okay? And you're doing good. Take care. Just to do this, but I can't do it anymore because I can't press the button at the same time. Take care. Bye-bye. This stream ends now.